try this next one. And basically, I'm going to type this question in the chat, but it's basically, what one word comes to mind when you spend time out in the woods? So you can just type that in the chat if you'd like. What one word comes to mind? Joy, peace, solace. Serenity. Relaxing. Connected, renewal. Anyone else? Anything different? The same? Okay. Well, we just wanted to get you thinking about being out in the woods, and sorry that the poll didn't work out as well as I'd hoped, but it was calmness. Good. Yeah, I was hoping that would be a way to launch the thoughts that Maureen's going to share with us next. So I'm just going to pass it off to you, Mo.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Georgia, and thanks everybody for sharing some of your thoughts and kind of getting us started and warmed up. And right away, just take a few moments to get kind of nested into your seat, wherever you're at, in your office, on your sofa, in your chair. Just sort of check in with your body and see if anything needs adjusting or stretching, or sort of get comfy where you're at for our discussion. I'm going to try sharing my screen here, and I have a few slides I'd like to share with everybody today. And we'll see if that works. And it looks like it worked. Okay. I'm just going to make a couple adjustments. Okay, so I took a look at the Red Cedar chapter, and I'm really impressed with the level of conservation and accomplishment that this particular chapter's undertaking. I worked for the NRCS, the Natural Resources Conservation Service, for quite a few years, several years ago, and wildflower seeding and conservation seeding is a really important part of how I take care of the land. And so I'm just really impressed and honored to share some of this information with this group today. So thanks for having me. So my name is Maureen Stein, and I'm a certified forest therapy guide through the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guides and Programs. It's also known as ANFT. This organization, ANFT, is just under 10 years old and has trained approximately 1,000 guides worldwide so far. And there's many organizations that offer different types of certifications in forest bathing. But I went through this particular group, and it was a really fascinating experience. So I'm speaking to you from the Sheboygan area. I'm 20 minutes south of the Mackinac Bridge, and we start every forest bathing immersion by acknowledging the land we live on. And the land I live on is the ancestral land of the Anishinaabe, Algonquin-speaking people, known as the Ojibwa, the Potawatomi, and the Ottawa. These three groups formed a loose confederation known as the Council of Three Fires. And these people were and are the current and original land tenders where I live. And just take a moment to think of the original and current land tenders in your area. So what's in a name? We have the terms forest bathing, forest therapy, and then a term called Shinrin-yoku, which are basically the three terms that all relate to the same exact meaning, which is mindfulness in nature and basically to bathe in the forest atmosphere. So Shinrin-yoku literally translates to forest bath. And the Japanese words for forest bathing are shown here on the right-hand side of your screen in the kanji writing. So you see 3 sets of trees on the very left-hand side, and then 2 sets of trees in the middle. And both of those symbols mean forest. And then the last character on the right-hand side means bathe. And it kind of looks like a little bathhouse with maybe some water falling off of it. So all three of these things mean forest bathing. And the term forest bathing was first coined in 1982 by Japan's director of the Japanese Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries. His name was Tomohide Akiyama. And he coined this term when the country was experiencing a national increase of mental and physical wellness. It was attributed to a retreat indoors, spending hours under artificial lighting and poor air quality amidst a tech boom. And it's sort of strange to think of 1982 as a tech boom, but considering that the Sony Walkman was rolling off the assembly line, as well as the compact disc that year, there was quite a bit going on. And concurrently, at the same time, there was a push for ecotourism and the need to increase value of forest lands. So guides began to market forest bathing to groups. Now, there are three main drivers of why we need forest bathing today. One is the shift to an artificial society. Although human beings and our direct ancestors have existed for approximately 7 million years, we have spent the majority of that time in nature. Our genes are adapted to nature, and they have not changed over the past 2 or 3 centuries since the Industrial Revolution. And because we have bodies that are adapted to nature, living in modern society places us in a condition of stress. The second driver, or the second reason, is the shift to an information technology society based on computers. Interestingly, 2 years after the word Shinrin-yoku was coined in 1982, the word techno-stress appeared for the first time in America. So we have entered that secondary stage of stress. And finally, in our third year of COVID-19 and dealing with this global pandemic, we've been propelled into this world of Zoom, and we're all doing our best to balance our lives and our health. And forest bathing helps forge this balance. So in short, we've experienced this rapid retreat indoors, and forest bathing, could be an answer to help alleviate some of those environmental stressors. So how does forest bathing help the body and mind? Well, phytoncides are natural oils. They're volatile chemical compounds that are secreted by lots of different plants and woody plants like trees, but also garlic and other smaller plants. So they're natural oils that become airborne chemical compounds when emitted by vegetation, when the vegetation is protecting themselves from bacterial, fungus, or insect attack. However, the mammalian body loves phytoncides. So when we breathe them in, our bodies react by creating more white blood cells, a specific type of natural killer cells, or NK cells, and provide other fabulous benefits to the body. Some of the responses discovered by science include this list here. I'll just review this quickly. So when we're out in nature, breathing in phytoncides being released by trees along a forested trail, we have an immediate immune response. So a 2-hour walk in the forest increases those natural killer cell activities, and that can last for days. Phytoncides act as an anti-inflammatory. So common forest terpenes temper inflammation, reduce oxidative stress. Phytoncides help our nervous system. It creates a relaxation response. It lowers nervous system activity. Phytoncides are mood enhancing. Exposure to forest air reduces cortisol levels. It has antidepressive properties. It helps promote sleep. And exposure to volatile chemical compounds can reduce blood glucose levels and lower blood pressure. In fact, in Japan, when you're on a forest bathing walk, often the guide will take your blood pressure before the walk and after the walk to demonstrate, the decrease in your blood pressure. So there's enormous amount of research on the physical and mental benefits of forest bathing. And I share these from Dr. Quinn Lee, who is a professor at Nipton Medical School in Tokyo, and Amos Clifford, who is the founder of ANFT, where I got my certification. Finally, there's also microbes in the soil that we can breathe in, which boosts our emotional states and helps us feel more joy. And even looking at nature increases anti-inflammatory cytokines, which are also boost our immune systems. And there's many reputable sources researching and producing papers on the study of phytoncides, including Stanford University and several international universities. So I encourage you, when you feel like it, to look into that a little bit. So why be guided? What is a forest bathing guide? So guides hold time and space that we might not otherwise allow ourselves. When we spend time outside without an agenda, our minds might start to cycle in distraction of the dirty laundry that needs our attention, the oil change, the grocery shopping, the banking, a doctor's appointment you might need to make, an unanswered email, next week's meeting that we're not prepared for, and all these things kind of go through our mind, and we think, oh, we're wasting time. I have other things to be doing besides walking on this trail. But however, decades of research shows that spending time outside can have positive effects on our health, and that engaging in forest bathing is an essential part of our weekly health regimen. And I hope you'll make it part of yours as well. It's important to remember that the forest is the therapist, and a guide simply opens doors and opens time for mindfulness in nature and forging authentic relationships with nature. So when people ask me what I do, I tell them I work in partnership with the more than human world to accompany and support others on the journey through which they discover the whole of who they are. And what in the world does that mean? It means I guide therapeutic experiences to promote mindfulness in nature, to help folks get out of their heads and back into their bodies. And that can be an edgy concept to some, to be reminded of our bodies, but forest bathing guides simply help others relax in nature, even if it means just putting down your cell phone for a couple of hours and being outside. So what guides do not do is guides do not set goals. We do not diagnose. We do not psychoanalyze or determine outcomes. We do not judge, teach, heal, because we really want people to be totally free to do and feel how they want to on a walk. So forest bathing is the ultimate way to be here now. And of course, I blame Richard Louv. Richard Louv, of course, that amazing author that wrote The Last Child in the Woods, Saving Our Children from Nature Deficit Disorder. He also followed up with other books after this book, but in 2005, this was his master work. And he, of course, said time in nature is not leisure time. It's an essential investment in our children's health, and also, by the way, in our own. So there's a standard sequence of forest bathing, basically the way we do it, and as taught by ANFT. It starts with hospitality and meeting people, in the parking lot, and just making them feel that they've arrived at a safe place and are welcomed. Typically forest bathing walks take about 2 to 3 hours, and professional guides practice the sequence while guiding. One thing to remember is forest bathing is not a nature discovery or naming plants or wildlife. It's not an opportunity to be out there to expand our bird life lists or get our steps in. It's a slow, multi-sensory exploration in nature, and you do not need a lot of space or even a forest to engage in it. You just simply need to be outside. After, hospitality, we move on to introduction, just acknowledgement of the original and current land tenders, like I offered when I began this presentation. We go on to pleasures of presence, which is an arrival into the forest, an opportunity to shake off the road dust. Then we do what's in motion, which is a slow transitional invitation to be alone together down a trail. And then the guide will offer partnership invitations, and there is no right or wrong way to do the invitation, but basically it's the guide working in partnership with the land. So if there's wind, if it's a windy day, we might offer a wind invitation. If there's a pond nearby or surface water nearby, we might offer a water invitation. You kind of use the land to get folks to enjoy that sensory exploration. And then finally, forest bathing ends with tea ceremony, which was what shop talk we call threshold of incorporation, which is basically sharing reciprocity with the forest and then coming back from liminality to prepare for the rest of the day out in that tamed world I mentioned of all of our duties and responsibilities. So it's been a long week, and I offer you this opportunity to get away from the screen. In just a moment, I'm going to invite everyone to get up from your desks or wherever you're at, put a coat on and head outdoors, and just use any of your available senses to take in the night in any way that feels good to you. Just go outside and do some deep breathing and focus on any one of your senses. So hear the night, see the night, feel the night. This is not an assignment. It's just an opportunity. It's just an invitation that you can choose to participate in or not. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. If you absolutely cannot head out, that's totally fine. Just at least sit by a window, flip on the porch light, and just look outside and avoid the temptation. We're going to check email or check your phone, and I'll be here when you get back. We're going to use a timepiece and we'll return in 10 minutes. And Georgia, will you tell me when 10 minutes is right now? I don't have a timepiece.
Yes, it would be 7:40.
So at 7:40, we'll return here and just do a final wrap up. And so I encourage you to head out right now. Well, we often use musical instruments to call people back to return to the group. So hopefully everyone is back with us now. It looks like it's 7:40. Move one piece. So at this point, I just want to take any questions in the chat or just one word on how taking the night landed with you, how that landed in your body, how that felt. So we could just take a few minutes to see if refreshing, relaxed. Yeah, wonderful. Relaxed. Great. Mellow. Pulse lowered, welcoming. That's wonderful. Anxiety down. Yeah, even if it's just a few moments outside, sometimes just stepping outside and just breathing, listening, seeing the night, smelling any smells in the air. It'll really do wonders for the body and for the sleep. So there are some upcoming in-person forest therapy walks I've got scheduled through the summer, but the next upcoming one is tentatively scheduled for Saturday, March 26th. It's going to be in Bel Air, right behind the Antrim Conservation District offices in beautiful Bel Air. And you can just get in touch with me if you'd like to join us for that walk. There's also going to be some additional forest therapy walks up at the Hessel Schoolhouse in the Upper Peninsula. And of course, I'm available to travel downstate or around the state and participate in a group walk if you assemble folks to join us for that. So I'm going to stop sharing. And Georgia, would you like to add anything?
Oh, I don't know if I have anything to add, but I will say that you should definitely take advantage of one of these forest therapy walks with Maureen, because it's more than you would expect. I mean, everybody I think that's here recognizes the value of being outside, but having, like Maureen said to begin with, just having somebody that holds that space for you, it has a lot of value. I mean, it's surprising. It doesn't sound like much, but it is a lot. So definitely.
Yeah, I can say that just the other day, I enjoy working from home because I have the ability to just, pop out the back door, check on my bird, check on the birds, check on whatever. And the other day when I was in the office and there was a point I had been sitting all day, it had already been about 5 hours. And I just said to everybody, I need to go outside. And I just went for a walk around campus for about 10 minutes, and it was just enough to clear my head and, let everything go for 10 minutes and come back to my office and dive back in again.
It does a lot.
It does help. Yeah. And so Mary has a question about phytoncides existing in the winter when most foliage is absent. And you know what? I don't think it's altogether foliage related. I think it's any insect attack. If insects or fungus or bacteria are attacking bark, other portions of the tree besides leaves. So yes, I think they're probably more predominant in our airstream in the forest on a trail in the summer months. However, we can breathe in phytoncides in the winter as well. Oh, Elizabeth startled a deer. That's cool. What's good about fungus among us? Well, when fungus and insects and bacteria are attacking the tree is when the tree produces the phytoncides. So, John, I think that's probably one good thing of fungus is because the mammalian body can breathe that in then.
So I have a question. I don't know if Mo, if you could answer this one for us or not, but are there particular senses, like would sight be more effective, smell, hearing, or does it depend on the person?
I think it depends on the person because of, all available senses. I do this class with a nonprofit out of Grand Rapids called Opportunities Unlimited for the Blind, which enables young blind campers and counselors or low vision campers and counselors to experience outdoor excursions and outdoor adventures and that sort of thing. And so, you adapt the program to whatever available senses we have. Some folks can't hear, some folks can't smell. So, and I'm sorry, John, yes, you said, what about good fungus, if I could read that correctly? Unless it's attacking the tree, detrimentally, I don't believe phytoncides are released unless the tree is under attack. So lichen, the combination of algae and fungus obviously is not going to, have the tree produce phytoncides for that sort of thing. Because that's just one random example. Sorry, I misread your original statement, but great. If there's any more questions, we'd be happy to stick around and answer. And I'm just so thrilled to have shared this with you. I hope that if you don't come on one of my guided forest therapy programs, that you go on someone else's, or just spend some time this weekend out in the woods with nothing, no agendas. Try to leave the cell phone in the car and head out and enjoy. Oh, Elizabeth, I'm glad. That's great. Just be careful.
I'm headed to UP this weekend, so I will be in the woods.
Wonderful. And just very quickly, the hike that Georgia referenced, there was 10 of us out there. It was Saturday, February 5th. We were at the Odin State Fish Hatchery in Petoskey, Michigan, which is Emmett County up here in the Northwoods. And it was 5 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's definitely going to be warmer than that this weekend, slightly. So I hope everybody gets a chance to go out and enjoy.
Do we have any more questions? Well, I guess not. Well, thank you both so very, very much for bringing your program to us down here. It was enjoyable. It's kind of
Absolutely.
raining. Yeah, it started to rain here, so I just stepped out.
Yeah, there was that.
Rain, so.
Well, we'll have to drag Mo down here at some point, maybe walk through Baker Woodlot or Harris Nature Center, one of our local nature centers, something like that. I think that would be.
I think we could
really
get it.
special.
We could probably get a nice crowd to come out and go for a walk.
We'll give her some ice cream.
Yeah.
That's all. We'll work for ice cream. It'll work. Well, thanks everyone. This was a joy. It was a joy to share this with you, and I really appreciate it. And again, if you think about something later on and you think, oh, I didn't ask it, or tomorrow morning, just, yeah, reach out. I'm easy to find. Naturology.me is my website. So thanks so much, everyone. I really appreciated being with you tonight.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for attending, and we'll see you next month. Have a good evening, all.